Thanks for joining us. Let's look at the week that was in French politics. It's been quite a dramatic few days for French President François Hollande. For the first time, he openly suggested that he might not run for re-election in 2017. And he once again found himself bogged down by accusations aimed at his team. Top political advisor Aquilino Morel was forced to resign over an alleged conflict of interest. Several years ago, he acted as a private consultant to a pharmaceutical company, despite also heading the public watchdog that oversees some of the pharmaceutical company's work. A word of background, this comes just a year after one of the worst political scandals of the Fifth Republic. Hollande had to sack his budget minister Jérôme Cahuzac last year for lying about a secret Swiss bank account. So how bad is this new scandal for the socialists? Let's discuss this with our guest today. Stéphane de Vries has joined us on set, correspondent for Dutch TV station RTL4, correspondent in Paris. Thanks for joining us. And, of course, the France 24 regular Philip Turl on this show from our partner radio station, Radio France Internationale. Philip, how bad is this for the socialists?
Well, the only good news here is that it didn't last very long. Because if you remember last year when the scandal about Jérôme Cahuzac blew up, about a year ago exactly, it dragged on for about 2 or 3 months before Jérôme Cahuzac was finally forced to resign when it was found out that he had lied about not having a Swiss bank account. This time round, it was all over in just a matter of days. And I think it's because President Hollande obviously knew something dodgy was going to happen, and he didn't want to have the fallout, the negative impact that another scandal can bring to his government and to him himself with his very low popularity rating at only 18%. So he had to get rid of Aquilino Morel as soon as possible, and he was forced to resign. The problem is...
The accusations came out on, I believe, a Thursday, and by Friday, the advisor had resigned.
He was out. But the problem is that the damage has been done. It's limitation, damage control, but the damage has been done. And I don't think it's going to do any favours at all to President François Hollande's popularity rating. And also, I think the greatest damage that's been done is the perception that French people have about him being able to choose the right people, the people who are honest, at a time when French people are being asked to tighten their belts, to make more effort to get the economy back on the rails. Yet another government advisor, another important person in this country, has been found to be falling away from that and spending state money or being living a totally different lifestyle to the one that they are preaching.
Right, his lifestyle was also called into question, Stéphane. Apparently, he has 30 pairs of handmade bespoke shoes. Is that something that would be a scandal in Holland?
Well, having bespoke shoes, maybe not necessarily, but what is a scandal is that this person privatized a salon, a special room in the Élysée Palace to get his shoes shined. So he hired a professional shoe shiner who came to the presidential palace to polish his shoes. And I think... Yeah, you laugh about
prompting some socialist ministers to very seriously say now to the camera, I polish my shoes myself.
And actually the first reaction of François Hollande's advisor, who's now sacked, was not to say, I'm sorry. No, he sacked the shoe shiner because he talked to the press. So that was his first reaction of Aquilino Morel, which basically shows that politicians in France and the whole people that surround politicians in France, they basically think they can anything they want. Well,
they think they're above the law?
Yeah, there's some kind of, and that gives a very bad message because, especially from a socialist president, of course, a guy who gets his shoes shined in the Élysée Palace. I mean, how far off of reality are you when you're François Hollande's closest advisor? So that's basically, well, the whole conflict of interest. Of course, that's the reason to go. But what really struck me was the shoe part. Actually, the French Republic now has its own Imelda Marcos in a way.
It's not only that, he also used state vehicles, the Élysée cars, to take his children to school. And people tried to find him in the Élysée Palace, and where was he? He was in the private gymnasium on one of the aerobic machines when he was needed in a meeting. So those 3 different aspects of his non-work, if you like, contributed to the fact that he was not really the right person for the job. And on top of that, this clash of interest between him being a consultant for a pharmaceutical firm and at the same time overseeing the watchdog of the pharmaceutical companies really, I think, was the the straw that broke the camel's back. And he's tried to defend himself by saying, well, of course, when I did this, I got permission to do it. There was a letter written from the pharmaceutical firms and from
the watchdog. No one can find that letter.
And no one could find the letter. And they've been looking for these letters for several days. And they've all officially said, well, we have no letter. There is no record of a letter and we can't find one.
Yeah, the watchdog has since denied giving him any authorization to go and work in the private sector at the time. It was back in 2007. Yeah. One of the interesting aspects of this, of course, is that François Hollande as a candidate had promised that the presidency would lead by example. He wanted an exemplary republic. Is this the nail in the coffin of the exemplary republic?
It basically shows, well, I'm very cynical here, but it basically shows that French politicians really don't give a damn. I mean, they can say, Hollande can promise clean politics, but that's basically, it's not the system. It's not how it works here. Unfortunately, it's not like a real democracy like the Netherlands or the UK.
We'll quote you on that. France is not like a real democracy.
Well, I say it all the time because it's some kind of monarchy, and people behave like they're in a monarchy. And I think what we're seeing now is that the French public is getting really fed up with this attitude, and it really doesn't matter if it's left or right-wing parties. And it's worth mentioning, by the way, that is the same website, Mediapart, who was also responsible for revealing the scandal of Cahuzac,
the former budget minister who lied about his bank account.
So we see now basically playing an outsider in the French media world, a website playing its role of watchdog of the democracy. And that's something rather new in France because until now, French media and politicians were also, well, sometimes literally in bed together. And this is, I find it a very interesting change in the
independent
French,
investigative reporting that you say was gradually being lost in French media, or perhaps never existed. I don't know.
Maybe.
I think you also have to put this into a situation where François Hollande's been elected now for 2 years. We had the Jérôme Cahuzac scandal a year ago. Then we had another scandal with a girl called Leonarda who was kicked out of France with her family, and then that caused a huge rumpus by the fact she was taken away by the police and kicked out without any legal formalities being completed. Then François Hollande had to go on television saying, well, she can come back and not her family, and that dented the opinion people had of him. Then at the end of last year, he'd promised to bring down unemployment by the end of 2013. He didn't manage to, and now there's this scandal with Aquilina Morel. It's all bad news for François Hollande because people are saying, well, not only does he not have the right perception of people he employs, he's also not able to do the job properly and can't even come up with the goods, where we're all trying to contribute to it by paying more taxes and tightening our belts to help out the government. And what does the government do? It doesn't do anything. It's just making an embarrassment of itself.
Philip, you mentioned unemployment, of course, which is François Hollande's bête noire. And I'd like to know what you make of something François Hollande said last week. He said to employees of the French tire manufacturer at Michelin, he told them, if by the next presidential election, that's by 2017, unemployment hasn't gone down, I have no reason to run again for re-election. Is this really a huge political risk or not?
Well, this statement came literally just a couple of minutes after the advisor we just talked about was sacked, so maybe he was very depressed. Yeah. But I think he's sincere. It's also a pretty safe bet because the economy is going down for a couple of years already now. So the only way is up, and probably unemployment will go down, but probably with
currently hovering at around 10%.
Yeah, it might maybe go down a couple of tenth of percents, but not a lot. And it's very hard to say that this is the result of François Hollande's policy. Probably not. It's probably the result of the fact that the economy in Europe is picking up, the world economy is going better, and of course, economy is cyclical, so it goes up anyway. But I think he's really sincere in saying that this is my main objective of my presidency, and I think it's a safe bet because it can't go down much more.
Oh, the situation can't get worse?
No, I don't think so. Well,
this is a purely Hollande-type statement. Can you imagine François Mitterrand saying something like that, or Jacques Chirac? They would never have ever said in the middle of, after only 2 years in power with another 3 years to go, well, if things don't improve, I won't run again for the next election. I don't think either would have said that, neither would General de Gaulle. None of the former French presidents would have said such a thing, apart from Nicolas Sarkozy, who made it clear that he might not run again if unemployment didn't come down. It didn't, and he wasn't re-elected. So
Stefan has a good point. If it's a safe bet in terms of the economy, then politically speaking, it's not that much of a risk.
There are 2 points to this. The first one is that if unemployment doesn't come down, then I won't be re-elected. If being it's my only policy is to bring down unemployment. Now, as Stefan was saying, there is a chance it will go down. Growth is expected to be up to about 1% this year. You need 1.5% for it to actually start coming down, unemployment. So we're a long way from that at the moment with 0.3%. That's the first thing. So they're banking on this growth going up, this responsibility pact that François Hollande has presented taking effect to bring down the taxes on companies in France. They're all hoping that's going to bring its fruits forward to 2017. And the second aspect of that is that I think François Hollande is saying, OK, I'm president of France, and if unemployment does come down, all the rest of you in my party, in the Socialist Party, who might want to run for president, well, just think twice because I'm the candidate and I'm the one who's going to run, and I will obviously be the prime choice. If he were to run right now, obviously he would be beaten.
A message, I presume, to newly appointed and wildly popular Prime Minister Manuel Valls. All right, thank you both for joining us on the show. That's all we have time for. Do stay tuned to France 24. More news coming up.